Statue of Roman Emperor Caracalla. Discovered in Sheikh Fadel, Middle Egypt, this statue reflects how Roman emperors, especially when portrayed in Egyptian settings, adopted the formal conventions of ancient Egyptian art to express authority and continuity. Though Caracalla appears with Roman facial features and hairstyle, the rest of the statue conforms to the traditional canon of Egyptian royal representation. He wears the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt, the Nemes headdress, and the pleated Shindit kilt, signaling his identification with pharaohs of old. Statue of King Merinta as standard bearer. His statue shows King Merinta, the 13th son and successor of the great Ramesses II, depicted in an uncommon and symbolically rich pose as a standard bearer. Merinta ruled during the 19th dynasty, around 1213 to 1203 BCE, at a time when Egypt was maintaining its power amid external threats from Libyans and Sea peoples. In this statue, the king is shown standing, gripping a tall ceremonial standard. At its top would have once stood a sacred emblem, possibly the head of a deity, a royal insignia, or a symbolic animal, each conveying divine legitimacy and cosmic order. These standards, known to the ancient Egyptians as midu shepsi, or sacred staffs, columns and lintel of King Sahur. Before you stand two columns and a lintel from the mortuary temple of King Sahur, a prominent ruler of Egypt's 5th dynasty, who reigned during the Old Kingdom around 2470 to 2445 BCE. These architectural elements are not just structural remnants. They are part of one of Egypt's earliest and most innovative royal temples, located in Abu Sir, near modern-day Cairo. Sahur's reign marked a significant transition in temple design, combining older traditions with emerging features that would shape Egyptian mortuary architecture for centuries. His temple complex once contained 16 palm-shaped columns, of which the two before you are fine examples, crafted from red granite and originally forming part of a colonnaded courtyard. This artifact provides insight into the sophisticated architectural techniques and religious beliefs of the Old Kingdom, specifically regarding royal funerary cults and temple construction during the height of the pyramid building age. Sphinx of King Amenemhat III. This striking statue represents a sphinx, a mythical creature with the body of a lion and the head of a human, depicting King Amenemhat III, one of the most remarkable rulers of Egypt's Middle Kingdom, who reigned during the 12th dynasty, circa 1831 to 1786 BC. The Sphinx symbolized strength, wisdom, and the fusion of human intelligence with the raw power of a lion, qualities the pharaoh sought to embody. This piece is one of 7 nearly identical sphinxes that once flanked the great temple of Ammonius at Tanis, Sin el Hagar, in the eastern delta. All 7 share the same serene, yet powerful facial features, showcasing Amenemhat III's distinctive full face and broad, smiling lips and sharp face features to fear his enemies. Naos of King Senwosret. This object is the naos of King Senwosret, one of the most powerful rulers of Egypt's 12th dynasty during the Middle Kingdom, circa 1956 to 1911 BCE. A naos is a shrine-like structure typically used to house a statue of a god in temple sanctuaries, symbolizing the divine presence. This black granite naos once belonged to the great temple of Ammonius at Karnak, Egypt's most influential religious center. Columns and lintel of King Sopkum Saphi. These architectural elements, 2 columns and a lintel, originally formed part of a monumental colonnade surrounding the courtyard of the Temple of Montu, the war god of ancient Egypt, at Medamud, near modern-day Luxor. The columns, made from sandstone and carved to resemble bundles of papyrus stems, speak to a sacred design language that tied architecture directly to the natural and divine worlds. Offering Table of King Amenemhat VI. This unique artifact is the Offering Table of King Amenemhat VI, a relatively obscure pharaoh of Egypt's 13th dynasty during the Middle Kingdom, around 1765 to 1762 BC. Offering tables were essential components of Egyptian religious practice, used as platforms for food, drink, and incense presented to the gods or to the spirits of deceased kings. What makes this table especially notable is its dual design. It's divided into two distinct halves representing Upper and Lower Egypt, symbolizing the unity of the two lands under the king's divine rule. Obelisk of King Marenta. This is a large, fragmentary red granite obelisk from the New Kingdom, 19th dynasty, around 1213 to 1203 BCE. A monument that originally symbolized the rays of the sun god, Ra, and the enduring power of the king. The obelisk was discovered in four broken sections and is missing its original top, pyramidion, and base. It was found at Tuk el Malik and is believed to have originally stood at the ancient solar temple in Heliopolis, modern Ain Shams, a major theological center for the sun god. Inscriptions on the shaft refer to King Marintua's dedication to various deities, including Shu, Adam, and Tadenan, connecting the king to the divine creation story. Pyramidion of an obelisk of Queen Hatshepsut. This red granite pyramidion originally belonged to an obelisk erected by Queen Hatshepsut at the Temple of Amuniasri at Karnak. It was discovered in 1861 in the area behind King Thutmose III's Hall of Festivals. It has been detached below its base, and it includes a few centimeters of the shaft of the obelisk. The original representations showed the queen kneeling with her back to Amuniasri, who blesses the crown on her head. Later, these were altered, probably by King Thutmose III, who replaced the figure of the queen with two altars and changed the gesture of the god who now holds the scepter, prosperity, and the Ankh sign, life. The first two columns of texts, which contain the queen's name, were also erased. Pair of palm columns. This pair of palm columns tells a fascinating story of architectural reuse and dynastic continuity in ancient Egypt. The columns themselves originally date back to the Old Kingdom, though their exact first context remains unknown. Centuries later, they were repurposed during the New Kingdom, specifically under the reign of Ramesses II, 1279 to 1213 BC, of the 19th dynasty, one of Egypt's most powerful and prolific builders. These columns were reused in the temple of the war goddess Anat at Paramesses, Ramesses II's grand capital in the Nile Delta. The palm capital, a stylized representation of palm fronds, is both decorative and deeply symbolic. Naos of King Ramesses II. This grand naos, a sacred shrine carved from a single block of sandstone, was discovered along the processional route to the great temple of Ammonius in Tanis, a major city in Egypt's Delta region. The shrine dates back to the reign of Ramesses II, 1279 to 1213 BCE, one of the most powerful pharaohs of the New Kingdom's 19th dynasty. A naos served as the divine chamber of a temple, housing cult statues of deities and preserving offerings and prayers. In this case, the naos was not only dedicated to the gods, but it also visually portrayed Ramesses II himself presenting offerings to the gods, emphasizing the king's role as intermediary between the divine and human worlds. Sphinx of Kings Ramesses II and Marenta. This particular sphinx is remarkable because it bears the names of two pharaohs, Ramesses II and his son and successor, Marinta, from the New Kingdom's 19th dynasty. Although the original sculpture likely dates back to the Middle Kingdom, as suggested by the vertical symmetry and stylistic conventions of its carving, it was reused and reinscribed centuries later by Ramesses II in Marinta. This kind of reappropriation was a common practice in Egyptian art. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive all new updates.